good evening, students. Hope you are learning and doing all my assignment for me. We thank Almighty God for meeting once again. Today we are having our economics lesson 7, cost theory. Meaning of cost. Cost is the amount of money that must be paid for the inputs used to produce the quantities of a good or service. The cost structure of a company and how it is managed has a great influence on long-term profitability. The main types of costs at our level include types of cost. 1. Explicit cost. 2. Implicit cost. 1. Explicit cost. These are the costs incurred in employing the factors of production. The prices paid for the 4 main factors of production are explicit cost to management. The price of labor is wage. The price of land is rent. The price of capital is interest. The price of entrepreneur is profit. The amount of money paid by the firm to owners of these factors represents explicit costs. Other explicit costs include expenses on transportation, raw materials, power, etc. Explicit cost is also referred as accountant's cost. 2. Implicit cost. These are unseen, intangible, or opportunity costs. Implicit costs can be overlooked by the accountant, but the economist considers them. Implicit costs consist of the opportunity cost of time and the opportunity cost of capital. The opportunity cost of time. This refers to the value of the next best alternative project forgone in using time to undertake the current venture. In other words, if we had used the time for our current project A for another project B, would project B have fetched us much more profit? If project B would have fetched us more profit, then we would have made an uneconomic decision. The economist believes that the profit forgone into project B should form part of the cost of project A. According to McGuigan, Moyer, and Harris, 1999, the opportunity cost of the owner's time is measured by the most attractive salary or other form of compensation that the owner could have received by managing a similar kind of firm for another investor. That's opportunity cost of time. The opportunity cost of capital. This is employed in producing a given quantity of output. Which is measured by the profit or return that could have been received if the owner had employed his capital in the next best alternative investment. Implicit cost is therefore the same as real cost or opportunity cost. For economists, we should not consider only explicit costs or historical costs made on inputs, but we must estimate the value of real cost too. The economist's cost is therefore made up of both accountant cost and implicit cost. If it is only when we subtract economic costs, that is explicit cost plus implicit cost, from total revenue, that we obtain real profit. That's real profit is equal to total revenue minus economic cost. And as I said, to calculate for economic cost is explicit cost plus implicit cost. Now let's come to short run cost concepts. Short run cost concepts. Total fixed costs. They are costs which do not change as output levels change. Total fixed costs are normally incurred on the fixed factors of production, such as land and capital. Example of fixed costs include interest to be paid on a contracted long-term loan. Such interest is normally fixed for the duration of the loan. The rental price of premises acquired for a shopping mall can be fixed. Such costs are to be paid whether the firm makes profit or loss. The salaries of management are fixed costs since they are predetermined and unchangeable. Once they are hired, management staff is made of highly skilled labor hired on a strict performance contract for a specific period of time. The wages of unskilled labor is variable. Casual workers, for example, can easily be done away with, and for that matter, their wage levels can be changed or varied easily. Algebraically, TFC, the total fixed cost, has two formulas. One, TFC is equal to TC, that's total cost minus total variable cost. Or you can say total fixed cost is equal to AFC, average fixed cost, times quantity. 2, the second formula, total fixed cost is equal to total cost. So everywhere you see total fixed cost is the same as total cost. Only when output equals 0, listen carefully, only when output equals 0, that is when the firm is about to start production, its total cost is the cost on fixed items like machines and land. No variable costs are incurred since variable inputs like labor and raw materials have but not been acquired yet. We will use the formulas when we get to the next lessons. Now let's come to total variable cost. They are costs which change as output levels change. Total variable costs are incurred on the variable factors of production, such as labor, raw materials, transport, etc. A typical example is wage, which is the cost of labor. The example of variable cost, wage, which is cost of labor. In the short run, as more workers are employed, the firm's wage bill also increases. If labor is the only variable input employed, then, example, the wage of unskilled labor is variable. Casual workers, for example, can easily be done away with, and for that matter, their wage levels can be changed or varied easily. 1. Total variable cost. Total variable cost is equal to TC minus TFC. That is, total variable cost equals total cost minus total fixed cost, or total variable cost is equal to average variable cost times quantity. 2. Total fixed cost is equal to W times L, or you can say WL. Anytime you see WL, it means W times L, where W is wage and L is labor. 3. Total variable cost is equal to the summation of MC. Summation of MC. We will look at some example in the following subsequent lesson. Let's come to total cost. Total cost. Total cost is made up of both total fixed cost and total variable costs. Total cost, algebraically, total cost has three formula. 1. Total cost TC is equal to TFC plus TVC. 2. Total cost is equal to AC times quantity. That's total cost is equal to average cost times quantity. Then 3. Total cost is equal to summation of marginal cost, or summation of MC. We will end here, but try and get some examples, past questions or questions on costs, and solve some examples. Although we will work on it, we will do some work on the subsequent lessons. You will solve some examples, but try to solve it on your own and get understanding before we start our calculation. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.